$500. That is what it costs to buy the tool that takes a $70,000 pickup truck out of your driveway. $500. Ordered online, delivered to a mailbox. No license, no paperwork, nobody asking a single question. I have got a torque wrench sitting in my box at home that cost more than that. No broken glass. No alarm going off. No wires hanging down under the dash. A man walks up to your truck, works quietly for about 2 minutes, and drives away in it like he has owned it for 10 years. And when the officer shows up the next morning, there is nothing for him to photograph. No pry marks. No shattered window. Nothing. Now, people keep telling me the police are stumped by this. They are not stumped. They know exactly what is happening, they have arrested people for it, and this past spring a United States attorney described it about as plain as you will ever hear from a lawyer. They don't need keys, and they don't need hot wiring. No smashed windows, no drama. That is a direct quote. Here is the part that ought to make you angry. The tool is legal. In most states, owning one is not a crime. Europe required the fix back in 1998. Australia in 2001. Canada in 2007. The United States never has. Not once. Not to this day. So the police are not confused, folks. They are handcuffed. There is a difference. Last year, vehicle theft in this country fell 23%. Just under 660,000 taken, the lowest in decades. Everything got safer, everything except trucks. A pickup now gets stolen at roughly double the rate of a car and triple the rate of an SUV, and when one of ours goes, the insurance company writes a check averaging almost $67,000, highest of anything on the road. Those numbers are not mine. They come out of the National Insurance Crime Bureau and the Highway Loss Data Institute, which is the insurance business counting its own claims. So, we are counting down 10 pickups being targeted in 2026, starting with the ones getting picked apart in the driveway and finishing with the most stolen truck in America. And I will tell you right now, that truck at number 1 is a truck I helped build. I am Frank. I am 71. I spent 34 years at General Motors Flint Truck Assembly, came off that line a master tech, and I still drive a 1996 K1500. I have kept running for 30 years. One honest thing first. Not every truck here is a bad truck. Some are the finest pickups anybody builds. Getting stolen a lot is usually not a sign something is junk. It is a sign somebody wants it. Let us get into it. Number 10, the Toyota Tacoma. I start here because the Tacoma teaches you something about this whole list. As a truck, it is barely a target. A Tacoma gets stolen about a third less often than the average vehicle on the road. So why is it here? Because they are not taking the truck. They are taking pieces off it while it sits in your driveway. Police out in Costa Mesa, California worked 20 tailgate thefts in a matter of months. 19 of the 20 came off Tacomas. 19 out of 20. And the tailgate is only half of it. The Tacoma is also one of the most picked over trucks in the country for catalytic converters. Here is how I know Toyota knows. When they redesigned the Tacoma for 2024, they moved the catalytic converter up into the engine bay, behind the turbo, where a man on his back with a saw cannot reach it. Engineers do not relocate a converter for fun. They did it because of theft. That is a company admitting a problem by building around it, which is more than some outfits on this list ever did. The Tacoma is a good truck. It just comes with a shopping list attached. Number 9. The Ford F-150. This one sounds like a contradiction, so stay with me. The F-150 was the 7th most stolen vehicle in the country last year. 10,102 of them gone. And yet, truck for truck, an F-150 gets stolen less often than the average car. Both are true. Ford sells so many that even a below-average rate piles up an enormous number. But the F-150 is where I need to explain the main event, because this is the truck that $500 tool cut its teeth on. Under your steering column there is a diagnostic port. Every vehicle sold here since 1996 has one, because the federal government requires it. Your mechanic plugs into it. So does a locksmith when you lose your keys. And so does a thief with the right tablet, who tells your truck to forget every key you own and accept a blank one instead. A locksmith up in Minnesota put a stopwatch on it. 30 seconds, he said. 30 seconds to sniff the data and bring up the ignition. The soft window is roughly 2015 through 2020. Ford has been closing it since, and I will give them credit for that at number 8. Number 8. The Ford Super Duty. The F-250 and the F-350. This is the most encouraging entry on the whole list, so enjoy it while it lasts. Go back to the 2020 through 2022 Super Duty, and the theft rate was better than 3 times the national average. 3 times. Those trucks were getting hammered. Then Ford redesigned the truck for 2023. The rate fell about 78%. It went from more than triple the average to below average. Same nameplate, same buyer, same driveway. Different engineering. Remember that number. 78%. It is coming back at number 1, and it is going to hurt somebody. The Super Duty is not off the hook, though, because of the taillights. A ring down in Texas got broken up last year. 34 victims, $92,000 in damage, and all they were after was the LED taillight assemblies off F-350s. One of those units runs about $1,980 from Ford. The old bulb version was under $500. We put a computer and a blind spot sensor inside a taillight, folks. Now grown men steal taillights. Number 7. The Toyota Tundra. Same story as the Tacoma, worse arithmetic. The Tundra carries 4 catalytic converters. 4. Most trucks have 1 or 2, and that business just came roaring back. Everybody thought it was solved, because the claim numbers collapsed after 2022. They did collapse. Then the price of rhodium, which is the metal inside these things, went from about $4,600 an ounce to over $11,000. Every one of those fellows came right back out of retirement. St. Paul, Minnesota worked 172 converter thefts in 2024, 504 in 2025, nearly triple in 1 year in one city, while vehicle theft nationally was falling through the floor. The current converter target list is majority truck now. The F-150 sits at the top of it. Ram 2500 and 3500 are on it. Silverado is on it. Out in California, they add the F-250, the Tundra, and the Tacoma. Why trucks? Because a truck sits high enough that a man does not need a jack. He rolls under it on his back, cuts twice, and rolls back out. Your ground clearance is the reason. Number 6. The Chevrolet Silverado 1500. 4th most stolen vehicle in America last year, 16,764 of them. And unlike the F-150, the Silverado is not just riding on sales volume. Truck for truck, it runs better than half again the national theft rate. I spent 34 years building these. Let me tell you what a task force out of North Texas documented. They get into the cab, they pop the hood, they swap the computer, and they shut the OnStar tracking off. About 3 minutes, start to finish. Then they drive away, and the truck never reports itself, because as far as that truck is concerned, nothing wrong ever happened. That is the part that gets people. It is not that the alarm failed. There was no alarm to fail. The truck was handed over. The soft years run roughly 2014 through 2018. That is the generation the rings learned first and never forgot. Real quick. If this is useful, tap the like button. It helps. And stay with me, because we are into the top 5, and from here it stops being about clever thieves and starts being about decisions somebody made in an office. Number 5. The Jeep Gladiator. The odd man out and the fastest riser on this list. In 3 model years, the Gladiator's theft rate doubled. It sits at better than 2.5 times the national average, which makes it the 20th worst vehicle of any kind in America. For a truck almost nobody thinks of as a target. The reason is the same reason people love it. The doors come off. The top comes off. The fenders come off. Every one of those pieces has a buyer waiting, and not one of them carries a number anybody checks. A Gladiator does not have to disappear to cost you thousands. It only has to sit unwatched for 20 minutes. It also carries the same electronic exposure as the rest of that family, which we get to at number 3. I will say this plainly. If you own one and you park outside, the hardware that holds those panels on is the cheapest insurance you will ever buy. Nobody wants to hear that about a brand new truck. I would rather tell you now than have you find out in a parking lot. Number 4. The GMC Sierra 1500. Here is where I get to be honest about my own employer. The Sierra and the Silverado are the same truck, same frame, same engines, same plants, same men putting them together. I know, because I was one of them. The Sierra gets stolen roughly twice as often, for a different grille and a nicer badge. There is no engineering difference to blame. The Sierra carries more money on it, the parts off a Denali are worth more than the parts off a work truck, and the people doing this run their numbers same as anybody in business. Down in Houston this past February, a man named Andrew Boyd had his truck taken out of his own driveway in under a minute. He had cameras. He got the whole thing. What he said afterward stuck with me. These guys are clearly professionals. They were basically smiling at my surveillance cameras. That is a relay attack. Your key is on the hook by the back door. 2 men with the right gear stretch the signal from your kitchen out to the driveway, and the truck believes the key is standing right there. Your key never left the house. Number 3. The Ram 1500. The sharpest fall of any pickup in America. In 3 model years, the theft rate on the current Ram Crew Cab more than tripled. It now runs better than 5 times the national average. And here is the detail that ought to stop you cold. The old Ram Classic, the previous generation they kept building right alongside it, scores dramatically better. The newer, more expensive, more sophisticated truck is the one getting taken. Stellantis is not asleep. They put a security gateway between that diagnostic port and the truck's brain back in 2018 across the whole Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram line. Good instinct. It did not work. Inside a couple of years, there was bypass hardware for it circulating, and the numbers you just heard happened with that gateway installed. Then for 2025, Ram moved to an entirely different gateway the old bypass hardware cannot touch, so it can be fixed. That is the whole point. When a company decides to fix it, it gets fixed. Hold that thought a couple of minutes. The Ram 3500 is nearly as bad, by the way. This is not a half-ton problem. Number 2. The Chevrolet Silverado Heavy Duty, the 2500 and the 3500. The 2500 runs 4 times the national theft rate. The 3500 runs better than 6.5 times. Heavy-duty pickups are the worst hit category in the entire vehicle market. Not the worst kind of truck. The worst kind of vehicle. Worse than sports cars, worse than luxury sedans, worse than anything with a badge on it. 2 reasons, neither complicated. First, money. When a pickup gets stolen, the insurance company pays out almost $67,000 on average. On a car, it is about $44,000. Second, what is in the bed? The fellow who runs Ford's security operation said it about as well as anybody could. Oftentimes there are people who have thousands of dollars worth of tools and products in the back that are valuable above and beyond what the vehicle is worth. Think on that. For a working man, the truck is not even the expensive part. Down in Texas last November, the Silverado was the #1 stolen vehicle in the whole state. Pickups took 4 of the top 6 spots. Number 1. The GMC Sierra Heavy Duty. The Sierra 2500 Crew Cab is stolen more than 10 times as often as the average vehicle in the United States. 10 times. That is not the worst pickup in America. That is the 4th worst vehicle of any kind in this country. 768 taken, out of about 168,000 insured. The 3500 is right behind it. I put 34 years into Flint truck assembly. Flint builds the heavy duties. I helped build the most stolen truck in America. Now here is what I told you to hold on to. Ford had this exact problem on the Super Duty. Ford redesigned the truck and the rate fell about 78%. It is done. It is finished. It is sitting in showrooms right now. General Motors went the other way. Across the same model years, while Ford's numbers collapsed, ours climbed. There is a class action sitting in federal court in East Texas, filed in the summer of 2025, covering Silverados, Sierras, Tahoes, Suburbans, Yukons, and Escalades, going back to 2010. The complaint says General Motors has not issued any kind of safety recall, provided warranty coverage, or offered a remedy. Not one recall. Not one. It is not that nobody knows how to stop this. Ford stopped it. Nobody ever made General Motors do a thing. So there they are. 10 pickups, and not one landed there by accident. Every truck we covered got there the same way. Somebody decided what it was worth to protect, and somebody else decided what it was worth to take. The thieves did not get smarter, folks. They got a catalog. Before you go buy a pile of gadgets, let me be straight with you. In the city that tracks this best, about 4 in 10 of the vehicles taken were sitting there running, unattended, nobody in them. No technology on earth fixes that. Do not warm your truck up in the driveway and walk back in the house. Past that, here is the short list. Get a lock for that diagnostic port, $30 to $75. Houston police push these hard, and their sergeant said it plain. Once it's on there, it's practically impossible to pull off. Add a steering wheel lock and a tailgate lock. Old, ugly, cheap, and they send a man off to pick a different truck. If your key is a push-button fob, keep it in a metal box at night, not a pouch. A pouch works right up until it does not, because the lining creases and quits shielding. Test whatever you use. Seal a cell phone inside and call yourself. If it rings, throw it out. A cookie tin costs nothing and never wears out. And check that your OnStar or your Ford Pass subscription is still active. That free year runs out and most folks never notice. A truck with a lapsed subscription is not being tracked by anybody. If the worst does happen, call the police first and get that case number, because your telematics company and your insurer both want it before they lift a finger. Then call OnStar or Ford. Then your insurance. And if you have a tracker and you can see right where your truck is sitting, you give that address to the officer and you stay home. People have been killed going to get their own vehicle back. It is a truck. You are not. So let me ask you, and I do read these. What are you driving, and does it have a port under that steering column anybody can reach? I want to hear from the heavy-duty fellows especially, and if you want the whole thing written down, I put together a book called The Right Ride. It covers the buying traps, the maintenance shortcuts, and which models to look at and which to walk away from. I am not going to hard sell you. There's a link in the description if you want it. Either way, hit like, subscribe, and I will see you next time. Lock the port, park it in the light, and keep what is yours. This is Frank.